Reid, congratulations on getting the deal done. Can you talk us through what sort of player you've landed for the Crows?
Yeah, Theo, obviously excited to have Geordie join the club, and I guess as we've expressed prior to the trade period, he'll add obviously will help with our ball movement, obviously forward of centre. So obviously he's played through the wing, half back, and through the midfield. So, but not only just I guess from an on-field perspective, he's a quality young man, and really excited to get Geordie and Millie, his partner, to the football club.
Was the pre-season draft a real option for you?
Oh, look, it certainly wasn't discussed through the trade period with Sydney, but obviously the rules are in place there with the AFL, but not something that we ever discussed with Sydney through the trade period.
So were you prepared to take it that far?
Oh, look, we're just really happy that what we think is a really fair deal to bring Geordie into the football club. Our priority prior to the trade period was to still hold a strong draft hand, but also to bring Geordie into the football club. And, we're excited that that got done last night.
And there's a couple of hours left, lastly from me. Are you still trying to figure out whether Jason Horne-Francis can get to Adelaide?
Good question, Theo. Look, it's a few hours to go, but obviously we've still got a fair bit of play out between now and the draft, and we've still got a few more periods where you can swap picks and do things on draft night. So I said we'll get through first and then reassess.
Thanks, Reid.
Thanks, Theo.
Roger Vaughan at AAP.
Hello, Mr. Humphrey. Hello, Justin.
Justin,
if you...
Hello, mate.
Good, thank you. A couple of questions. If you're a betting man, Justin, what do you reckon the odds are of you landing the #1 draft pick?
I'm not allowed to bet on football, Roger, so under AFL rules, but good question. Hey, look, I think it was pretty realistic, I think, leading into the trade period itself. Not speaking on North Melbourne's behalf, but he's a super talent, comes from a great family, and as I said, North Melbourne hold pick 1, and I think they've been pretty consistent with what their views are, so we'll leave for them to decide that. But, I think being realistic, highly unlikely, Roger.
Sure. Justin, you said then how you thought the trade to get Jordan was really fair. I don't know if you've seen the Sydney media release, but it's they're speaking through gritted teeth about the deal. It's fair to say they're very unhappy about losing him. And it seemed to be a subtext of, they were put in a position where they had no choice, is basically reading between the lines of their media release. How do you react to the Swans being pretty bitter, I guess, about the deal?
Oh, look, Roger, we always worked hard to bring Geordie into the football club, and we feel what we put on the table early in the trade period and the deal that was, I guess, agreed to last night was fair and reasonable for both parties. We've got a huge respect for the Sydney Football Club and got a good relationship with Kinnear Beatson, and obviously we've been in their shoes as well over the journey. So I said it's a negotiation and a trade period, and we're just really happy to bring Geordie into the football club.
Thanks.
Max at 10.
All right, Max.
G'day, Reid. Well done. Good dealing. I wanted to know almost more as a fan than a journalist. Do football clubs do they have long memories when it comes to things like this? I know with Kurt Tippett going back ages, the threat of pre-season draft and walking players and that sort of thing. Does that hang over football clubs for a long time when you deal with another team?
I reckon that might be a journalist question, Max, but good try. Hey, look, mate, it's a long time trade period, and it started Monday week ago. So we're just trying to get through the next few hours and then take stock of, the work we've done over the last 10 days and then a real focus on the draft. So I guess it's about what we're doing right now and where we're headed going forward.
I suppose I'll ask another one as a journalist then. You couldn't tell us what you were thinking about offering for Jason Horne-Francis? So a solid little offer that you could dish out there for us?
Are we referring to what's already been put out in the media or going forward?
Just some...
Look, I think what's been reported is pretty accurate, but obviously I guess we've already worked through that, and North Melbourne hold the #1 pick. So as I said, we're pretty realistic as a footy club, and we understand that North Melbourne, and we respect that they hold that pick, and the reality is that they'll make that decision, not us.
And just generally, if you do pick where you currently are, what's your view on the talent around that spot?
Yeah, Max, obviously pick 4, you get some high-end talent there. We've still got a fair bit of work to do, given there hasn't been much footy through Victoria the last 2 years. So Hamish and the team are doing a huge amount of work at the moment. So we'll pick that up again next week.
Thanks, Reedy.
Josh at 9.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah,
We've been following it closely, obviously, but can you put it in layman's terms for everyone at home why it took to the final day to get this deal done?
Oh, Josh, I think you'll find in trade period a lot of deals land in the last 24 to 48 hours, and obviously there's a lot of posturing, and I guess we kept trying to get to the table to work out what we thought was fair and reasonable, and obviously we got there last night. So I guess as you can see now, there's a few hours to go, and there's still other deals to land, and we've been in this position before, so it was certainly good to get, I guess, Geordie in the door, late last night.
Are you comfortable with the format or the rules around a player who's not yet a free agent but is out of contract, their ability to walk to a pre-season draft and leave their club for nothing? Just generally from a football point of view, how do you feel about the rule?
Oh, look, the rules are in place there for a reason. I think, not being a legal expert, I think restraint and trade or the ability to have player movement, that's why it's there. And look, we've been in that position before where we've had players move to other clubs, and the clubs we're dealing with are down the bottom of the ladder. And you just got to understand, I guess, the environment you're in or the cards that you hold. So we certainly understand it's there for a reason. But as I said, it's not something that we raised at all with Sydney during the trade period itself.
The Swans or Charlie Gardner more specifically said that they didn't feel is quite a fair outcome. Can you understand their hesitance or sadness in letting go a player who finished third in their BNF?
Oh, look, none of us like losing good players, Josh. So as I said, we've been in their shoes as well. And as I said, we've got a good relationship with Sydney and we respect them. And as I said, it's a trade period and we're all trying to make our list better. So I guess that's the environment we live in.
You mentioned Jordan's versatility. In your mind, what type of player have you recruited for the football club? Where do yourself and Nick see him playing most of his football?
Yeah, look, as I said, I think you're using his weapons and his ball use inside 50, but I think, Geordie's approach to this is that we've got a squad mentality and he just wants to play his role. So he'll come in and play his role. It'll take some time for him to build those relationships and that cohesion with the group. So, that's for him to go to work and build those relationships and just see where he best fits. So that will play itself out over the off-season and through the summer.
Are you done for the day? Seems like an obvious question, but is this the end of your business for today?
I never say never. I think we've got 3.5 hours to go. So, look, something might crop up, but at the moment, it's a bit quiet going at the moment for us anyway.
Great. Thank you.
Drew at Fox, you got any questions for Justin? Maybe not, unless you can.
Might be on mute.
You got us there, Drew. Okay, we will move to Matt at the Advertiser.
How are you, Matt?
Hey, Justin, how you going?
Good, thanks, buddy.
I just wondered, what was the reason Jordan actually indicated to the club as to why he chose Adelaide over Port Adelaide?
Oh, man, I think that's a question for Geordie. So obviously he'll look at doing some media in the coming days, but I said that's probably a question for Geordie, I would have thought.
No worries. In terms of pick 4, obviously you got that at the moment. Is that something that you plan to hang on to now, or are you still open to dealing that pick, even if it's not full pick 1?
Oh, look, it's pick 4, and as I said, we need to get through this afternoon with the trade period, and we'll take a few deep breaths and a few days, and we'll get back to that decision making, how that looks with the draft and Hamish and the team next week.
And just finally, I think it was 12 months ago that Adam Kelly said that he needed to work on his bluffing game a little bit when it came to the Crouch negotiations. Do you feel as though the club's bluffing game has improved in the past 12 months when it came to, I guess, getting a deal done?
Oh, look, I wouldn't call it a bluff game. It's certainly a negotiation, Matt. So it's something every year you need to work through and understand, I guess, what is in and around the decisions that you make. So, last year there's a lot of things we tried to do, and sometimes those opportunities just don't, I guess, provide themselves. So, as you said, we think it's a fair outcome, and really happy to bring Geordie into the club.
No worries. I think everything else has been covered from my end. Cheers.
Thanks, Matt.
Jason Regan.
G'day, Reid. Nice to meet you, mate. How you going?
Good, Jace.
Good to talk to you. First question for you from our end is, there's a couple of boys now from the Crows that are on your list from down in the southeast. Geordie joins. I think we've got Lukey Pedler from Kingston, and got a Lucendale boy, Darcy Fogarty, as well. How do they play any role in talking to Geordie? Do they know each other, or is that a place that you're looking to put a stake in the ground down there in the southeast?
Yeah, you got Mitch Hinge from down there as well, Jace.
Yep,
so it's a good breeding ground for us. So if you can keep breeding similar type players, we certainly would entertain that. So look, there's certainly some relationships, not close, but obviously, you know, what Adelaide's like, it's pretty small. So through school football or through their junior football, there's certainly relationships there. And Geordie obviously went to Scotch College and had, I guess, some touch points there via Nixie and Rory Laird. So it certainly helped, that's for sure.
Speaking of Nixie, have you had a chance to speak to him since the deal got done, and what was his reaction?
No, Nixie is super excited. So super excited for Geordie, the members of the footy club, and as I said, really keen for Geordie to get to work. So yeah, he's wrapped.
I know it's already been asked, but I'll ask it again, just because I can, I guess, in this instance. But anything else left that might throw a surprise curveball our way for what's left in the trade period? Have you got anything else up your sleeve?
No, Jace, we had a focus on bringing Geordie into the club, and we've executed that, and we've also got a probably a stronger draft end than what we had prior. So, you know, we've done a fair bit of work around that, and as I said, now we'll focus on the draft going forward.
Good on you, Reid. That's it from me, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, Jace.
Cam at the ABC, you on the call? No worries. Darren Andrews, you got any questions for Reid?
Sorry, no, I'm all good. Thanks, Reese.
No worries. And Sam Fantasia's on the call. Sam, any questions? Okay, we might be good. If anyone else has any other ones for Justin before we wrap it up, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, just one more from me, Justin. Just given your list demographic, like you've got blokes who've played 100, 200 games, and you've got a lot of kids. How big is it to bring into the club clearly a bloke who can play? He's finished third in his BNF and he's got 64 games under his belt. I imagine that's a bit of a hole plug there for the Crows.
Yeah, it certainly helps, Roger. Obviously, you know, Geordie's played 60-odd games, but to bring him at the age of 24, we think he's certainly got plenty of good footy ahead of him, and he'll play part of that role, you know, as the squad moves forward. So, yeah, look, it's certainly a bonus, and it was a great opportunity. So, yeah, it's exciting for the members going forward, but we're about 39 games into our rebuild, so still plenty of hard work and things to consider going forward, but it's certainly a piece of the puzzle, that's for sure.
Any other ones, guys?
Oh, just one more from me, since you're here, Justin. Was there any thought of doing some sort of business with Trent Dumont? I know his manager said that he was speaking to both clubs and they were exploring a move home. Was that ever entertained?
Look, I think he's an unrestricted free agent, and that period closed last Friday from memory. So it's not something we've entertained. And as I said, we'll look at all things once we get through this period.
Great, thank you.
Just one more from me too, Reese, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Reedy, you mentioned before that it was a difficult negotiation with the Swans, and we know they've come out and said what they've said about the deal. It's a relationship-based sort of game that you're involved in. Are you worried in any way that your relationship with the Swans going forward might be strained over this, or is it just suck it up and get on with it?
Look, there's always emotion involved with football, isn't there, Jace? But as I said, I've got a good relationship with Tom Harley and obviously Kinnear Beatson. So, as I said, you know, we'll move forward, and, you know, at some stage, it swings and roundabouts, and we'll have to deal with each other again at some stage. So, as I said, we think what we put forward was fair and reasonable, and just excited to have Geordie, you know, come to the football club.
Thanks, mate. That's all from me. Cheers.